The human body is built for distance. Most mammals can sprint faster than humans, but when it comes to long distances, no animal can compete. As we humans evolved, so did our technology, allowing us to go faster and farther than ever before. The first shoe specifically designed for running was developed in 1852 by the Spalding Company. Fast forward to today, the running shoe industry is dominated by a handful of big companies such as Nike, New Balance, Asics, and Brooks. These companies have all been around for decades. In fact, many were founded over 100 years ago. To compete against these historic brands, you need to fundamentally reinvent the running shoe and how you market it. One company did exactly that. Chances are you've seen the shoes but wondered what they were. In 2010, On was founded in Zurich, Switzerland by Olivier Bernhard, a retired 6-time Ironman champion alongside 2 businessmen, Casper Capetti and David Alleman. Once Olivier was done competing, he began tinkering with his shoes. He had shaved off a pair of traditional running shoes and glued rubber pieces from a garden hose on the bottom. The idea is that they give you a lot of cushioning when you land, but once fully compressed, it acts as a springboard. The brand's name was based around the goal of a new shoe, one that made people feel as though they were running on clouds. The brand's logo is simple, featuring the letters O and N stacked on top of one another. The On has a slight uptick on the top, which sometimes is mistaken as a Q. However, it's actually because they wanted a runner using their shoes to feel switched on. The tick on the O is a play on an old style of light switch. Seems simple, so how could that result in a multi-billion-dollar company? It all started with the sole.
And I'm here to tell you, this boy's soul is intact.
No, not that sole. S-O-L-E. Well, actually it's kind of both. With these shoes, the sole is what you notice first. It's bizarre, almost alien the way it's defined by a ring of hollowed-out blocks. This sole, dubbed CloudTec, has been the defining characteristic of the featherweight running shoes produced by On. Unlike the solid foundation of a traditional running shoe, On's sole has sizable gaps between each cube. It sort of looks like a mouth in dire need of braces.
Lisa needs braces.
The sole has made On a stealthy statement sneaker, worn by the likes of tennis great Roger Federer, who's now an On investor, as well as finicky tech bros. You know, the ones that wear their Patagonia fleece vests and zip-up hoodies. On was seeing tremendous success of the CloudTec sole, but perhaps they were surprised to see that many of their customers were not die-hard runners. In fact, many customers weren't looking for the fastest shoe, but the fattest shoe.
How does that feel?
I see what you mean. They are so nice and they fit like a dream.
Easy on the knees and a big sole shape is widely associated with the California-based Hoka brand. You'll see grandmas and your podiatrist wearing them, but recently they became a bit of a trend for all kinds of people.
Everybody wears these.
Yes, this is the Hoka Clifton 9. It is the hottest running shoe of the time.
Riding that wave of popularity, On launched Cloud Monster, a maximalist sneaker built upon a tottering, pumped-up sole that will add a good few inches to your height. This time, those cubes are fatter, longer, and a bit offset from each other, giving the sole a honeycomb form. On seems to have a pretty good grasp of what the consumer wants. On went public in 2021, and in 2022, they did over $1.2 billion in revenue and surpassed Hoka as the leader of the specialized sneaker space. Today, On's products are sold at tens of thousands of stores, ranging from core running chains like Roadrunner Sports to mainstream department stores such as Nordstrom and Bloomingdale's. On now sits at a market cap of over $10 billion. They are still far behind Nike's $165 billion valuation, but On's current growth rate is certainly more attractive. In the eyes of short-term investors, On is leading in a recent sprint of growth, but if they want to win serious market share over the big players such as Nike and Adidas, they will need to pace themselves. While running remains at the heart of On's business, less than half of their revenues come from consumers buying dedicated running gear. It's strange, especially because the brand's image is fixated on capturing the exercise market. They've gone so far as sending analysts to popular jogging routes in major cities just to count how many runners are wearing the brand's shoes. Despite the foundation of the brand relying on running enthusiasts, On seems to be moving in another direction: luxury consumers. On's first dip into fashion was in 2019 when they created the Roger, a sneaker formed with a partnership with Swiss tennis legend Roger Federer. When launching the shoe, they did so exclusively at Dover Street Market boutiques in cities like London, New York, and Tokyo. In 2022, On introduced a footwear and apparel collaboration with the Spanish luxury house Loewe, its first partnership with an outside fashion brand. The offering, which included a $390 navy blue gradient-colored version of On's low-profile Cloud Venture sneaker, and an $890 waterproof anorak. Although sitting at a far higher price than On's mainline offerings, they sold out worldwide pretty quickly. It was important to On's team that this collection encompasses not just sneakers, but apparel as well. Currently, apparel is the company's fastest growing product category, and the company sees the development of its clothes as a key to making the brand more than just a sneaker company. While On has tried to separate their fashion from their running, the separation is not as clean-cut as it once was, as they've noticed their shoes are already being adopted for fashion more than function. Even the Cloud Monster itself could be an unexpected fashion success. In recent years, large-soled designs have dominated the sneaker market and are currently offered by brands from Gucci to Converse. Take Balenciaga's Defender, an imposing shoe with a gigantic curved sole that could appear to be the Cloud Monster's cousin on steroids. Some have argued that On shoes are gimmicky, that the technology isn't anything unique, and there are far better shoes for cheaper. Analyzing the most discussed shoes in the subreddits r/running shoe geeks and r/advanced running, not a single On shoe cracks the top 25. How about the top 25 men in the 2023 Boston Marathon? One person wore an On shoe. Most wore Adidas or Nike. For On's price point, you're paying for fashion and the illusion of game-changing technology. Remember the Reebok pumps, a shoe that you could tighten with air? There's a reason it didn't catch on. It's a marketing gimmick. Same could be argued for those big circles on the bottom of an On shoe. On makes good shoes. Nobody doubts that. If you have a pair, you probably love them. But as it currently stands, On is seeing much more success selling functional and trendy shoes rather than staying true to their roots of trying to simply build the best running shoe. Don't get it wrong, On is still working hard on becoming a serious pick for top marathoners, but as a public company, they will face scrutiny by investors that want to see the stock continue rising. As a consequence of having explosive growth over the past few years, primarily as a result of mainstream adoption from their brand from non-hardcore runners, On will likely face immense pushback if they choose to slow down their fashion and functional wear in favor of actually developing the world's best running shoe. Running on clouds might be the most comfortable, but if they're serious about producing a shoe that can truly revolutionize the running and walking experience, On can't be afraid of a little pain.